Good morning, everybody. We have a new year. Here's a song that addresses that. Hear 'em singing happy birthday. Better think about the wish I make. This year gone by ain't been a piece of cake. Every day's a revolution. Pull it together and it comes undone. Just one more candle and a trip around the sun. I'm just hanging on while this old world keeps spinning. And it's good to know it's out of my control. If there's one thing that I've learned from all this living, is that it wouldn't change a thing if I let go. No, you never see it coming. Always wind up wondering where it went. Only time will tell if it was time well spent. It's another revelation, celebrating what I should have done. With these souvenirs of my trip around the sun, I'm just hanging on while this old world keeps spinning. And it's good to know it's out of my control. If there's one thing that I've learned from all this living, is that it wouldn't change a thing if I let go. Yes, I'll make a resolution that I'll never make another one. Just enjoy this ride on my trip around the sun. I'm just hanging on while this old world keeps spinning. And it's good to know it's out of my control. If there's one thing that I've learned from all this living, is that it wouldn't change a thing if I let go. There's one thing that I've learned from all this living, is that it wouldn't change a thing if I let go.
Thank you so much, David. That was a perfect song to start off this new year. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. My name is Kayla Kunimoto. I'm your Vice Chairman and MC here at Unity of Tacoma. Happy New Year. And today I have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker, Lori Erwin Johnson, whose talk title today is I Release and I Let Go. And our musical guest, David Robbecke, who's been a staple musician here for quite a while, and it's always a pleasure listening to his music and having him here. So, Lori, could you please start us off with this morning's prayer?
Absolutely. I would be happy to. Happy New Year, everyone. And I'm excited to start off the new year with a prayer that I think is really important for us as we transition from 2020 to 2021. And we're going to do the old standby, the prayer for protection. And I think it's appropriate to do that. And if we could get into a stance of prayer, and let's just set our intentions for this new year. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is.
This song is called Border, and it's by Mark Stanton Welch. eyes, slipping into life. Hello world. Move an arm, move a leg, bit by bit, day by day. Crawl, stand, and walk through the world. A seed must come before the sprout, as breath must come before the shout. As food precedes the smallest growth, belief must come before the hope. As will prepares the hand to move, awareness brings the self improve. As this universe unfolds, so do I. As this universe unfolds, so do I. Step by step, A to B, everything is you and me, traveling this path so divine. Never doubting, facing fear, trusting process, staying clear. Life is what it is, so divine. A seed must come before the sprout, as breath must come before the shout. As food precedes the smallest growth, belief must come before the hope. As will prepares the hand to move, awareness brings the self proof. As this universe unfolds, so do I. As this universe unfolds, so do I. Let me follow what I know is mine. Let me follow what I am inside. A seed must come before the sprout, as breath must come before the shout. As food precedes the smallest growth, belief must come before the hope. As will prepares the hand to move, awareness brings the self-improve. As this universe unfolds, so do I. As this universe unfolds, so do I.
Thank you, David. Perfect. The music has been perfect. Thank you for that. Well, good morning. Again, Happy New Year. I'd like to start off our talk today with a reading by the Daily Word. And I've chosen the Daily Word from January 31st of 2020 because I thought it was really appropriate, because today we're going to do the burning bowl ceremony and be able to let go of some of the things that no longer serve us. So the Daily Word from January 31st was let go and let God. And it goes, as the year comes to a close, I take time to review how I responded to a period of time that challenged me more than usual. Perhaps my compassion was awakened and I felt moved to serve. Maybe my heart felt full as I prayed for loved ones and for people I've never met. Looking back, my heart feels full as I recount the lessons that prompted my spiritual growth and the blessings I discovered as I worked through my hardships. I meet the coming year with a positive, hopeful attitude and an openness to new ways of thinking. I feel ready for a fresh start and a new beginning. No matter the obstacles that may come my way, I remain committed to realizing the highest vision for my life. And the scripture reading from the Daily Word from that day is from Revelation 21:5. And the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." And our affirmation today is, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And so I would like to say that today we're going to do the burning bowl ceremony. And if you're participating in the burning bowl ceremony, I would like you to be super safe. It's going to be a bit different this year. We're going to do it social distance wise, and I'm going to do it here in my home. I have it all set up in my fireplace where I have the flue open and there's lots of ventilation and it's safe to burn things in there. But if you choose to do the burning bowl at your home, please do so safely. Make sure you have a lot of ventilation. Make sure that it's in a place where it is safe, in a container that is heat proof, or if you can do it outside, that would be better. It's something that we want to make sure that safety first. And so the burning bowl is a beautiful ceremony. I will be sending you through a wonderful visualization during meditation. So the beautiful thing about our brains is that we don't really need to be doing it physically. We can close our eyes in our mind's eye. We can experience that simulation in our minds. And today we're going to visualize some of that burning bowl ceremony that we normally would do in person. So when we get to that point, I will be able to guide you through that. So again, safety first. All right, so now that I've said that, on to my talk. So there is a song, and some of you may know it, and it is written by Ricky Byers and Michael Beckwith, and it's called I Release and I Let Go. And it's a song that I had sung at my ordination and my daughter sang for me. It's something that means a lot for me because it has become my goal for working in ministry. And the lyrics, just for one verse, it's the first verse. It says, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. And it was my mantra and my words to live by. And it was something that I wanted to start my ministry off with. I wanted to make sure that I was ready to move forward and I would release anything that didn't serve me. But as many of you have noticed, the year 2020 definitely tested that virtue and that principle super big time. It was something that I had to remind myself every single second of last year. And it was a little over a year ago that my life changed quite unexpectedly. It had been consistent and predictable, and it hadn't changed for several years. But it did make a change really quickly and in a way I didn't really expect. I had spent the previous 4 years of my life dividing my time between being a minister at my church and being one of the 2 executive directors of a school. This school we helped design to create, it was created to help chaplains and spiritual directors and ministers obtain degrees in their fields of study and theology. So many of them had years of training and experience, but some of them had no formal degree. And if you've ever been to college, and many of you are currently in school, know that school is extremely expensive. So we were trying to provide a availability for people who are in ministry who want to get their degrees without paying a huge amount of money. So I had always been really passionate about helping others get their education. And I still am a proponent for alternative routes towards education. So helping the school succeed and setting it up for ministers was everything in my world. And I worked really, really hard for that. And I worked day and night. It was something I wanted to make super successful. And it was a passion of mine. But at the end of 2019, some new investors that had come to the school and the previous executive director decided that there wasn't a need for the school to have 2 executive directors, I being one of them. And at the end, I was asked to step down from that position. And boy, did my ego really take a hit. I was completely devastated. I was so wrapped up in getting the job done and trying to reach that goal that I'd failed to see what was happening around me. I was extremely hurt and I felt betrayed. And I put my heart and my soul into that project. And for the first time, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I was completely pushed aside from my goal and the path that I had set for myself. And I made a decision. Instead of stepping down and taking another position that they recommended I take at the school, I decided to resign. And it was a really super difficult time for me. And it carried into the new year, which was at that point, 2020. So what happened was a test of my faith and fortitude. I was pushed into a space where I had to choose between my own sense of self-worth and the need to help others succeed. In most every other time in my life, I would have chosen to do what was right for everyone else. But this time, I chose to take a leap of faith and leave when it was no longer working for me. And I had to let that position go. And as I grew up, when I was growing up, success was the result of effort and hard work. If I did all the right things I was supposed to, I would win at this complicated game of life. Any other outcome was just a failure on my part. At least I thought it was. I had what psychologists would call a fixed mindset. I knew what I knew, and that's all I needed to know. And if I worked really hard and I struggled enough and I paid the price, I would succeed. And unfortunately, my best efforts, especially in this case, came up short. Back in my day, when I became an adult, it was the late 80s, and there was this big brass ring that we could shoot for, something that it was a mindset then. And those of you that were around there know that if you worked hard enough and you worked more hours and you worked long hours, you will find success. And in the 80s, there was this huge push towards becoming motivational. And we were motivational speakers and self-help books, and everybody was trying to get ahead and to be successful. And not that that's a bad thing, but there was a lot of mindset of sacrifice and long hours and burning the midnight oil and giving up so much. And so I'd spent a lot of my younger life juggling school and marriage, raising kids and working full time all at the same time. And it was the way of life that I had been trained to have. It was my life. I just knew that I would get what I wanted if I continued on that same path of work, work, work. But I lacked flexibility. And because I lacked flexibility, my body began to break down and my mental and physical health suffered. But I struggled and I persevered and I moved forward. Fast forward to the year 2020, I had worked really hard to get where I was and paid the necessary price and time and effort, and of course, sacrifice. So why did I fail? And there's that word again, that ominous word that I'd spent my entire life trying to ignore, trying to move away from, was the word fail. And so, yes, I failed to achieve one of my long-term goals, but does that really mean that I wasn't successful? So I spent the whole year of 2020 thinking about this and meditating on this, and I came to the conclusion that no matter what I do, fail or not, it's the unfolding of a bigger plan that's important. Failure is actually a mindset and not really an outcome. I can either feel like a failure or I can focus on my successes, learn from my missteps, and move forward on a path that has been laid out for me. It does no good to lament on what was, it only hinders what could be. And instead of a fixed mindset that I had before, I chose to have what's called a growth mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck says the individuals that are learning either have what's called a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is one where a person believes that their character, their intelligence, their creative ability, they never change. Success is the confirmation of how smart you are, and striving for success and avoiding failure is something that you do at all costs. You avoid any of that failing that I just spoke about. And it becomes a way of maintaining a sense of being smart or skilled. And that is the most important thing. You want to appear that you are successful, that you are skilled and you are intelligent. And that fixed mindset keeps you there. A growth mindset, on the other hand, thrives on challenge. And it sees failure not as an evidence of being not smart enough or skilled enough, but it's a catalyst for growth and for expanding our knowledge and our abilities. So instead of being a failure, you become a lifelong learner. So I'll tell you a little story about my son, his name is Richard, and he was at track at Lincoln High School a couple of years ago, well, about 10 years ago now. He did so well in track that he and his friends made it to the state championship, where he was on the relay team that was projected to win. They'd been in first place all season, and it was a done deal. They knew that they were going to win. And when the race came, they were ready to go over that finish line and get that medal. And if you know anything about track and the relay, there's a baton that you hand off. Well, there was a trouble with one of the handoffs, and their team that was poised to win came in second. My son and his teammates were absolutely devastated. They got the second place medal in track that season instead of the first place medal that they had been dreaming of. But this loss became a catalyst for my son to learn more and become better. A few years later, while my son was running track in college, he went back to Lincoln High School to be an assistant track coach. And that year, the entire Lincoln High School track meet won the state championship. He finally received that state championship ring that he had been looking for. He didn't get it the way he thought he would, but he did get it, and he helped others to get their rings as well. If my son would have adopted a fixed mindset and had given up on track when he lost in high school, he would never have been able to help these kids make it to the championship. His resilience and growth mindset, it really helped him to realize his greater purpose. And I'm really proud to say that he went on to win several medals since then in college, but he's also now a head track coach and a high school teacher, teaching others how to have growth mindset. So what could have been a failure turned out to be a great success. It's just the way he changed his thinking about it. People think about mindsets and the way you think, you can change. Even if you've spent your entire life thinking that what you have is all there is and that you can't be anymore, don't believe that self-talk. There is more, there is a lot more, and you can achieve more. A growth mindset can be learned. If you have always had a mindset of fixed and not being able to change, you can grow and learn. The brain never stops learning. It never stops changing. It continues to grow neural connections that help us learn new things and talents and abilities. And yes, attitudes about things. You can teach an old dog new tricks, and changing your mindset is one of those tricks. So having a growth mindset means that you stay within the flow of life. And the Taoist concept, if you know anything about the Tao, the concept of Wu Wei helps to explain the nature of being in the flow of life. It's an alignment with what is and acting accordingly. And it's similar to the Buddhist philosophy of non-attachment. Once we become overly attached to the outcomes of things, we get out of sync and we suffer. Knowing that moving forward towards any goal and knowing that there may be bumps in the road and even detours can really help you to grow and move with and go with the flow. Also, we need to remember that it's not always the destination that's the point of setting goals. Sometimes it's just the journey or who we travel with or what we learn along the way. Having a growth mindset helps you to be able to be fluid and flexible, able to do what's next as an action instead of having a reaction to a situation. So if you think you may have a fixed mindset, and I'm one of those people, but are ready to grow and expand, there are certain things you can do to make changes. First, you need to remember that our definitions of failure need to change. If you don't get that job or you don't lose that 10 pounds in a month as a New Year's resolution, it's okay. Be okay with that. Changes and learning still happen even if you strive for it and don't make it. Look for the benefits that come in the wake of your disappointment and your achievements. You have reached other milestones. You need to celebrate them and remember them. Another thing you can do is learn to adopt the phrase of not yet. Whenever you're struggling to learn a new skill or to reach a new goal, and you're not seeing the results that you want, instead of thinking that you failed, adopt the mindset that you haven't got there yet. Success is coming your way, just not yet. Finally, seeking the approval of other people. And this is something that I struggle with all the time. It's not their journey. It's not their life. It's your time frame and it's your goal. You choose when and how to move forward. If it's a certain goal you've created for yourself and it's not within your reach yet, you decide what to do. It's not up to anyone else to have a say in that. Your mindset, your attitude, and ultimately your successes in life are your own, and just own them. This year, I had to own it, and I had to really do some soul searching and look at my own mindset. I realized that my expectations were always too high, and I made it so I never really celebrated the successes that I achieved and appreciate the effort and work I put in, because ultimately it's never enough. Even when you reach the pinnacle or you reach the goal, there's always something else you could have done. And that's what was my mindset. And when I came to a point where I was disappointed, I felt I was a total failure. And that's not true. I had plenty of success. I just didn't take the time to pay attention to it. It reminds me of a student I had while I was working with the school. He was a very conservative Christian chaplain who had grew up in various Christian missionary schools, and he had a very fixed theology. He had some formal education, but he wanted to get a degree, a graduate degree. So he had to take my classes, I had 2 of them, in interfaith spiritual direction. And at first, he really didn't see the benefit of taking classes that had anything to do with any theology but his own. But he knew he had to take these classes, so he registered. And his first lesson was the Taoist concept of Wu Wei, action through non-action or going with the flow. He was extremely inspired by this lesson, and he decided to study Taoism on his own. He never converted from Christianity, and that was never a threat, but he did take the lessons from the Tao and other faith philosophies that he learned about and integrated it into his new mindset. And from then, he was very eager to learn about new things and studied the different faith traditions, and his mind became more open. He began to hear that voice of God in new ways by learning about all the different faith traditions. So I am happy to say that he did graduate with his doctorate degree, and he's now a professor at a Christian college, sharing his knowledge with the world. So even though I am no longer holding that position at the school, and I don't get to retire from there like I would like to, I realized I did accomplish a lot of good things. I was a successful teacher. I was a great organizer, and I was a successful administrator. And most of all, I was able to help several students to reach their goals and to expand their formal education and to go on to do God's work in their own unique ways. And even though I am no longer there, my work really does live on those students who graduated from there. And for that, I am totally grateful and feel totally blessed by that. I believe that God had a hand in all this. I was pushed out of my comfort zone, well, maybe kicked out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to say pushed just to be nice, so I can get back into the flow of life. I have since learned how to do a lot of things in 2020. I was just talking to Kayla about that. I learned how to use Zoom more effectively. I learned how to edit videos, create online classes, learned how to use a green screen, and improved my bookkeeping abilities. That was necessary. I became more comfortable speaking on camera, and I found a new spiritual home in Unity of Tacoma to share my thoughts and my spiritual adventures with. So without that push, that necessary push that I believe God was responsible for, I would have been in the same place I had been for several years. And I would never have changed or learned anything or grown past the place I was at. And for that, I am truly grateful for the opportunity to learn. And there's a quote by Henry Ford that really put this whole year in perspective for me. And it goes, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And that's absolutely true. So I ask you, as you move forward towards the burning bowl ceremony, which we'll do shortly, remember that when you let go of those things that no longer serve you, those things you write down on those little pieces of paper, remember to bless them and thank them for what they did bring to you. If nothing else, if you can't find anything positive about it, thank that situation for leaving you and then move on. Know that you're ready to move forward and grow and learn and have a growth mindset. All you need to do is just release what no longer serves you, let go, and let the Spirit run your life. Thank you for listening. And David has a wonderful song to follow me.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the lights surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong, and may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. And may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young.
Thank you, David. And now is our opportunity to go through a guided visualization for the burning bowl ceremony. I'd like you to get into a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you so wish, or you can watch the candle on the screen. Placing your hands in your lap, facing up or down, whichever is comfortable. Take a deep breath in through your nose And exhaling out through your mouth. With each inhale, take in light and love and let it fill your entire body. And with each exhale, release any negativity, any darkness you may be holding on to. Just let it go. Do this one more time, inhaling light and exhaling negativity. Now bring your breathing back to its normal rhythm. If you haven't done so already, close your eyes. And in your mind's eye, bring your attention to the room you're sitting in. Mentally observe the room, and there in front of you, you notice that there's a door. It calls you to move forward, to turn the knob, open the door, and step to the other side. And on the other side, you see before you a magical forest with lush and green grass and beautiful trees. You hear the birds singing, and you observe the little animals scurrying across the grass. It's enchanting. You feel safe, and it feels like home. You walk forward, and you see that there's a table with a bench right next to it. You move to it, and you sit down on the bench next to the table. There in front of you on the table, you see some small square pieces of paper, just large enough to write a sentence or two. There's also a pen there with your favorite color of ink. What is that color? And next to the papers, you see a small sign that says release and let go. And right away, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. You pick up the pen in your hand and you feel the weight of it. It feels just right. It's just the right size, the perfect pen for you. You pick up a piece of paper and you hold it in your hand. But before you write anything down, get very still, be very quiet. And you ask yourself, what can I let go of today to make room for something new tomorrow? You can ask again, what can I let go today to make room for something new tomorrow? Sit with that for just a moment and listen for the answer. You may receive an answer right away. You may get an answer that you didn't expect. Or you may have to take a little more time, and that's okay. You have the time. We'll just sit a little longer. Now I want you to visualize yourself writing what needs to be let go onto that little piece of paper. If there are a lot of things you would like to let go and they don't fit on that paper, grab another page. There is no right or wrong way to do this. If words don't come and you only have pictures, symbols, do that. It's your burning bowl ceremony. You write what you need to write down. Once you have all that you need to release from your life written down on that piece of paper, fold it in half. And take a moment to thank everything that's written on that paper. Even if those circumstances were not wanted or they were negative, thank them for the lessons learned, the wisdom that you gained, and the strength that grew because of it. You are more resilient. You are stronger now. Right next to you, there is a metal bowl with a small bonfire in it. You can see it. You can feel the warmth of the fire. And when you're ready, bless your papers and toss them in the flames. And to feel those things that no longer serve you leave your life. Now, just for a moment, I want you to open your physical eyes and bring your awareness back to the screen in front of you, to the burning bowl and the candle that you saw to begin with. The papers I have in my hand represent all the things you wrote on those papers in your mind's eye. And as I light them and toss them into the bowl, what was released in your visualization is now being released in the physical space. And every time we toss it into the bowl, we thank it for bringing the wisdom that we gained. The strengths that it brought us. The knowledge that we'll have carrying forward into our lives. And we know that we are making space for something special. We let go. We release and let go. I would like you to close your eyes again, looking back into the flame of the small metal bowl that's right next to you where you placed your papers. And notice that you feel lighter. You notice that there's space to create the experience you'd like to bring into your life. And leave that space open, because the possibilities for you now are endless. So it's time to leave your table and bench. Leave the pens and paper there, and know you can come back at any time to release and let go of anything that's unwanted in your life. This physical place is always here for you. And in your mind's eye, as you rise, you walk across the grass and back to that door that you came through at the very beginning. You grab the doorknob, you turn it, go back inside of the room you were in, and sit back down. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Take one more breath in and let it out. And bring your breathing back to its normal pace as you begin to become more aware of your physical space. Begin to wiggle your fingers and feel yourself back in the physical realm. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And as you come back, David will help us return with song. Thank you. Amen.
gonna let go. Well, I ain't gonna carry that load no more. I ain't gonna carry that load. I'm gonna take that pain and lay it down, 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 down. I ain't gonna carry that load. I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you, Lori, for the beautiful ceremony and message. I have some last few announcements. I'll give the benediction, and then David will sign us out with one last song. So Unity of Tacoma has a new way that you can support us, and that's by going to our website, unityoftacoma.org, and then pressing support Unity of Tacoma, and then you'll see our shop. You can buy t-shirts, sweaters, hats, all sorts of goodies. All the profits go back into providing you guys with our guest speakers and musicians and keeping Unity of Tacoma going. So that would be a fun thing where we get to provide something for you guys and you get a little goodie in return. So please join us next Sunday as well. And I hope you guys have an amazing start of your new year. So for the benediction, we are here now, far apart, but together. I'm giving this prayer for us to look within and spend some time after service to do some mental house cleaning. Let us together start the new year off by letting go of the things that do not offer us value before taking in the new gifts of the year. Amen. One last song by David.
Am I unmuted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year's.
Thank you.